Hi folks, so before I start this video properly, I just wanted to give you all a warning. This video will be talking about a very dark time in Scottish history, and it goes into detail of the acts that took place in Irvine, Ayrshire, Scotland. If you're triggered easily, don't watch this video. I'm telling this story because I believe that the story should be told, and it's my belief that the victims should be remembered. Two of the people in this account of history took their own lives to prevent them from going through the horrors of the trials. So again, if it triggers you, please don't watch this video. The trial of Margaret Barclay resulted in the deaths of Isabel Inch, an elderly woman, John Stewart, a vagrant, a beautiful young mother called Margaret Barclay, and Isabel Crawford. They were accused of being involved in a satanic plot that is widely believed to have caused the Irvine vessel, Gift of God, to be wrecked off the coast of Cornwall. Isabel Inch was the first of the alleged coven to perish as a result of the brutal treatment by her accusers. She endured several days of interrogation before succumbing and promising to make good on a confession the next day. The same night, in desperation, she flung herself from the belfry of the old kirk where she had been imprisoned. Although critically injured from a fall, she was pressed to admit her part in the demonic scheme. She died from injuries 5 days later, maintaining her innocence to the last minute of her life. John Stewart, who was said to be a juggler and a vagrant, likewise resorted to desperate measures to relieve his suffering. Incarcerated in an old Tolbooth, he was securely fastened that he pleaded with the Reverend David Dixon, minister of Irvine, who attended him during the trial, that I am so strictly guarded that it lies not in my power to take my bonnet off, or to get bread to my mouth. Later, after being left unattended with his shackles loosened, he seized the moment and committed suicide by strangling himself with a piece of hemp used to tie his bonnet. Margaret Barclay was a spirited, high-tempered young woman who steadfastly denied all the devilish practices made against her. The most incriminating evidence the Justice Court had against her was that she carried a piece of roundtree with a coloured thread to make, as she said, her cow give her milk when it failed. To overcome her resolve, the inquiry proposed a method of gentle torture, as this would take into account her age and sex. The tender torment consisted of placing Margaret's legs in stocks and loading her bare shins with iron bars until she acknowledged her guilt. The weights were removed only when she promised the Inquisition that she would tell them what they wanted to hear. On the last day of the court, she implored that all I have confessed was an agony of torture, and before God all I have spoken is false and untrue. After sentence was passed, she was immediately taken to the place of execution outside the old borough, near where Malcolm Gardens is today. Having made many expressions of religion and repentance, this poor soul met the fate of most convicted witches in Scotland, after being strangled at the stake, then having her body burnt to ashes. 3 innocent lives lost and barely credible allegations, the magistrates sought a fourth. After the Reverend David Dixon failed to make Isabel Crawford confess, she was also introduced to gentle torture. This is recorded that Isabel endured her torment with unbelievable firmness, suffering in silence, with above 30 stones of iron laid on her legs. Only when the bars were moved to other parts of her legs did she relent, with cries of tak off, and I shall tell all. After her confession, she then experienced the same cruel end that Margaret Barclay suffered. At her trial, it said that she rejected any of the allegations made against her, and she absolutely refused to forgive the executioner. That was custom at the time. Unfortunately, all 4 victims have basically been forgotten about nowadays. There's no plaque or no memorial in Irvine to commemorate these victims, and unfortunately in the years that followed this atrocity, another 17 women would also be executed for witchcraft in Irvine. I want to give a big shout out to North Ayrshire Heritage for helping me with this video, and yeah, I just wanted to share it with everyone. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.